The following program contains material which may be offensive to some viewers or may be inappropriate for viewing by children. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh, please, run. Do not walk to your nearest hardware store and get a grip.
Congratulations, you have channel surfed to NightScene, the longest running program about the gay and lesbian community in the history of television. Tonight we continue our interview with the Desad sisters, a new interview with a young man from Newburgh, a special sneak preview of Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and of course our continuing interview with Harry Hay. It's all tonight on NightScene. Hey, thanks for either tuning into NightScene on purpose or just surfing here by accident. Glad to have you on NightScene. My name's Lanny Swerdlow. Welcome to the longest running show about gays and lesbians in the history of television. Tonight, we've got another, what I hope is a great show with fascinating interviews and a special preview of Atlantic Records' new CD release from a Broadway musical called Helga and the Angry Inch. But first we're going to get to our interview, and now we're going to go. Last week we started our interview with the Desad sisters, founders of the Desad dynasty. So without further ado, here we go, back again. You know, Gothic is quite often kind of mixed in with death and macabre and this kind of stuff. Are you attracted to that?
Yeah.
I would say to an extent, yes.
We don't go home and, oh God, I'm so depressed.
Yeah, it's not like, because we dress in dark clothing and wear dark makeup that our whole life is sad and pathetic. No.
No, I never equated Gothic with depressed.
Well, a lot of people do.
I always, yeah, they may, but that's their own hang-up. I think Gothic is more concerned with the other side of life, which is death. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, eventually we're going to be dead, and I think Gothic people are just kind of aware of that, and they kind of act out this.
I think they see the beauty in death.
Yeah, as opposed to, because to a lot of people, death is just, that's it, it's the end. To me, at least, death it's just a bigger change. It's like a metamorphosis, and you continue going on from...
To what?
We don't know.
We don't know.
You're waiting
and
to
that's
find
why
out.
It's so intriguing, is because you may think you know, but you never really know.
There's a lot of people that think they know, that's for sure.
Well, they ain't going to find out till they finally kick the bucket.
I hope they're not too disappointed.
Lanny, you may find out there is a God.
No, I don't. I just, all I know is I won't be disappointed.
Okay.
I'll be dead. Anyway, so do you want to do this more? Do you see yourselves doing this more as life goes on for you? I mean, this kind of portrayal of... wait a minute, let's put it this way. Do you incorporate this into your regular day-to-day life? Or is this something you just strictly do on... I mean, you don't go dressed like this to work.
Actually, there is a chance I may go apply for a job like this.
A chance?
Yes.
50-50?
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that if an opening comes up and that it looks like, it's there, I will go in and apply as Sierra Desad. Well,
obviously you're not going to go apply for a job in the post office. What kind of a job is it you're going to be applying for that you'd be going to Sierra Desad?
Spit it out.
Yeah, a Hot Topic.
Hot Topic?
Yes, in Lloyd Center.
Oh, it's a clothing store?
Yes, clothing retail store.
I
wasn't sure whether I really wanted to,
broadcast that.
Well,
but probably by the time this is on, you have already been applied and either hired or turned down.
That's true.
So why do you think they would be interested in Sierra Desad rather than Jason?
Because Sierra Desad actually, The persona, I guess you could say, that I carry when I'm in drag and stuff, the darker side, fits more into their styling and their appearance, because it's a very, I guess you could, without being insulting, a trendy gothic store.
A trendy gothic
kind of a
store.
glam, trendy gothic store.
Gothic is trendy, and
Yes, gothic
glam.
is trendy, and it has become glam.
And pigs have wings. Yeah, okay, that's it. I like that. That's it. Well, sure, gothic can be trendy. Why not? Why not?
Spandex was trendy.
That's
I mean,
right.
explain that
That's
one
right.
to me.
Spandex was trendy, and so were Pontiacs at one time. And what about you? Do you carry this? Do you carry this into your life at all?
To an extent, yes, I do. I don't like dress up completely on the weekdays when I'm going to work, because I work in an office environment, and I don't think they'd be too happy with that. But
So you work in an office environment?
yes.
But you don't go dressed like that to the office?
No, I'm not allowed to wear sleeveless shirts. I'm not so.
Can't wear sleeveless shirts?
Well, I have a tattoo on my arm, so.
Oh, no! And so you can't show a tattoo?
Yeah,
Can a man show a tattoo?
probably.
Well, that's sex discrimination, and I would file a lawsuit. You could probably get enough money to retire, Brenda.
That would be nice.
Try it. Just, see what they do. Well, so you're much more demure. But obviously where you're working then is not what you want to do for a long time.
No, not necessarily. I find it actually kind of boring.
What do you do?
I process credit reports for a living.
You process
So if any of you out there have applied for a mortgage, I've seen your credit.
That's right. And so if you got turned down, you know who did it.
I wish.
You
I don't have that power.
you just enter the data into this, so you know about the dirt on
I
anybody.
know about
And
the
you can
dirt.
call the dirt up on anybody you want, right?
And I can make sure the dirt is correct, or if they've cleaned it up.
Could you mess it up for someone?
If I really, really wanted to get fired from my job, yeah.
How much could somebody pay you to mess up somebody's credit? No, that's okay.
Let me think about that.
Off the wall doesn't begin to describe them, does it? Well, tune in next week. We'll continue our conversation with the Desaad sisters. And now we're going to go to a new interview with a young man by the name of Victor. He comes from Newberg, Oregon. And tonight we talk with him about what it's like to be open and gay in Newberg, Oregon. Well, Victor, thank you for joining us here on NightScene. The reason I really wanted you on here is you came on here when we interviewed Roberto, and you were talking about what kind of piqued my interest was you were talking about the fact that your connection with the gay community started out with our TV show, NightScene. Tell us about that.
Well, what happened was I lived in Mexico for about 2.5 years, and so I had just moved here with my brothers, and I mean I didn't have a car, I wasn't old enough to drive, and so I had really no connection with the gay community. It was all like, I hadn't, for one thing, I had no idea that there was like movies with gay themes. I didn't have any idea that there was gay clubs here in the U.S. I really didn't know much about it, and then one time I was just like flipping through channels Sunday night, and then I saw this channel with like music, and there were people dancing, and then I looked at it, and I watched it for a while, and then I noticed guys were dancing with guys, and girls were dancing with girls, and so then I just left it on that channel, and it was really fun to watch, to see, like, I was so surprised to see on like public TV, like gay interaction going on, so it was pretty good.
I mean, how old were you then?
Then I was 15 years old.
15. Had you had any experience with gay people before then?
Actually, yeah, in Mexico.
Where in Mexico?
In a town called Pontitlan, Jalisco.
Where's that?
It's about 45 minutes away from the capital of that state, which is Guadalajara.
Oh, okay. So you're down in central Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you had experiences down there. Tell us about those.
Well, it was kind of hard. The whole concept of homosexuality in Mexico is pretty different than here.
How?
Well, most gay men, at least in small towns, most gay men in Mexico, either you're straight, or if you're gay, you're a drag queen. Mm-hmm. And most of them were drag queens, and so at that point, I really didn't have a connection with them. except for this one other guy that he didn't do drag, and so basically I got to know him, and but then I was kind of confused about the whole situation, and
When you say connection, you mean you were having sex with him, or you just knew him, just talked to him?
No, I knew him just to talk to him, and I would ask him, all different kinds of questions about, like, gay relationships, sex, everything, because I really didn't know much about it, and, but that was pretty much my only connection there in that town.
It was a small town?
Very small town.
How many people?
I don't know how many people, but it would be probably about the size of, I'd say Dayton, Oregon.
Ohio. Dayton, Oregon. I don't know. Dayton, Oregon. What's the size?
Pretty
of Dayton?
small.
Pretty small.
Yeah.
Under 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Pretty small. And
Yeah.
there was other people that guys that would go and drag in this little town?
Yeah, they actually, like, drag shows were looked good upon.
Really?
Yeah, like, families would go watch drag shows. Like, there would be, like, they'd put posters up and they'd say, well, we're going to have a drag show such and such day and everything.
Is this common in Mexico,
Yeah.
or is this just unique to your town?
No, drag is, like, really common in Mexico.
Really? I had
Yeah.
no idea. Why do you feel
Or
that?
at least where I've been.
Any-
Because it's okay to see, I guess it's okay to see drag queens, but for, like, straight men, in my opinion, what it seems is, like, it's more of a threat to see a straight-looking gay man than to see a feminine-looking gay man.
Okay. It doesn't threaten machismo?
Mhm.
Is that the thing? It's not threatening,
I guess
so it's
so.
okay. Interesting. So your only experience in this town was in actually talking with this one guy,
Mhm.
but you really weren't involved in a gay community. You certainly weren't involved in any kind of relationship.
Not exactly relationships, no.
What do you mean, not exactly? I like it. Well, I wasn't partially pregnant either. What do you mean, not exactly?
Well, there were some, like, encounters, but that's about it. There were no actually established relationships.
But you just had some fun every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And this is when you were like 14, 15.
Yeah,
Okay.
and actually it was between, like,
How did you meet these people back then in Mexico? I mean, did they have a cruising spot, or how did you meet people?
there wasn't really a cruising spot. It's just two people having it just happens. I don't know. It wasn't really like any specific way or form. It just happened. I don't know. You eyed each other, or you looked at each other different, or you started talking, or just different situations. It just happened that way.
Somehow you recognized that he wanted you and you wanted
Mhm.
him. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you moved to the United States, and you moved to
To Oregon City.
Oregon City.
Yeah.
And when you moved up there, of course, you didn't know anything about the gay
No.
life up here.
No,
And so your first connection was with the NightScene TV
With the
show.
NightScene TV show.
How long did you watch it before you actually got the courage to go out and check out the
I watched it probably close to about a year.
year before you did
Yeah.
anything? How did it make you feel being able to watch the show? Did it help you? Or did,
As far as helping me being okay with, like, being gay, it didn't do so much as that, but what it did is just, like, I saw that connection, and I was like, oh, there are, like, gay places to go to, and I actually remember calling you up, I think I might have spoken to you, calling you up a couple of times, and then I'd ask you questions like, well, is this a gay club? And then, just to hear you say it, it was just like, it made me feel good.
uh-huh. To know that there's other,
Yeah.
they're out there, even though you can't get there. Just to know that it existed made you feel better.
I also remember looking in the phone book for, like, listings or something, and I found out about the Cascade AIDS project, and I called them, but I guess they're more interested in like, people who want to volunteer
Yeah.
and stuff. And,
Well, they're an AIDS organization.
Yeah.
They're not a social organization, although they provide some
Mhm.
social services, but they're...
So
yeah.
that wasn't really the place to call, and basically that show, the NightScene, was the place where I could, like, actually have any kind of connection until, like, the summer before I moved out with my brothers. A friend took me to the gay club, or to the city nightclub, and she didn't know I was gay, and she was bisexual, and so we were dancing together, and then there was this boy that I really liked. I thought he was really cute, and So then I just decided to tell her because I wanted to try and see if I could hook up with that boy. So it'd be easier to tell her right there and then, not have it be awkward to her. So I just told her, and she's like, I had an idea. So, yeah. And it turned out that the boy that I wanted to hook up with was straight. So it didn't work out.
Frustrating, frustrating. How did you feel after your first encounter at the club then? I mean,
it felt pretty good. I really liked going there, and then we went one other time, and then after that she moved away, so I never went there again.
was it difficult to get there?
I didn't know how to get there, actually. I really didn't come into Portland, so I basically stayed in Oregon City, and I didn't know how to get around at all in Portland, so I had really no idea where it was.
Must have been pretty frustrating. When did you actually make your... Now we have something a little unusual tonight for our... We're not going to show blasts from the past, but I always like to show some entertainment. And there is a new musical out called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It's gotten a lot of publicity. It's been covered in Time magazine and in Billboard and entertainment details. I'm sure a number of our viewers have probably heard about Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It's a Broadway musical playing off-Broadway. And Atlantic Records has just released a CD of all the songs of the musical. You kind of get a, Rocky Horror Picture Show feel out of this particular musical because, well, it's about a transsexual for one thing. But it's different. It's about a gig that they perform on stage. I haven't seen it. It's going to be coming to Los Angeles, although I doubt if I'm going to get down to it. But the music is really good. And I'd like to show you this little promo that Atlantic Records sent us about the new musical, Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, Hedwig!
Don't you know me? I'm a new Berlin Wall, baby. Try and tear me down. I was born on the other side of a town ripped in two. I made it over the Great Divide. Now I'm coming for you. And I'm gazing at the series. They try and tear me down. You want me, baby? I dare you. Try and tear me down.
Hedwig is an East German army wife, transsexual rock and roll singer.
I rose from off of the doctor's slab, like Lazarus from the pit.
And becomes a sort of an infamous Jennifer Flowers kind of figure when she has this scandal with Tommy Gnosis, who is a huge rock star, but was at one time her protege when she met him in a trailer park in Kansas. So now she's suddenly famous from the tabloids, and she's capitalizing on that fame.
Look what you've done. You gigolo. You know that I loved you, hun, and I didn't wanna know.
Long Grift is a song that I sing, and it's a song that we can imagine that was a Tommy Gnosis hit. Tommy Gnosis is Hedwig's rock superstar alter ego.
The riches you survey, and all that you can lift.
I love the fact that the variety of people who have come and enjoyed it is so wide, because Hedwig is for everyone.
Thank you very much, Atlantic Records, for providing us that promo copy of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Hedwig, I think I said it wrong before. You've got to be German to say it properly. Hedwig. I just can't seem to get it and make it sound right, but I try. Watch for it. You can go down to Los Angeles and see it soon. You can go to your nearest record store, nearest music store, and get the CD copy of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Now we come to our final part of our show, our ongoing interview with Harry Hay. He's talked about being gay since the 20s, but we're back in the 50s, and last week he talked about when he was subpoenaed to appear before the House Un-American Activities Committee in Washington, D.C., and the infamous Senator Joe McCarthy. Here we continue that interview.
They just didn't know. They really didn't know, because after all, McCarthy was scurrilous when he finally came up talking about it. He knocked it right and left. Yeah. Oh yes, I have an FBI record that long from people who had been looking into it at that time. He and J. Edgar Hoover both were absolutely. They're beautiful examples of men who hated being who they were. And were not only hated being who they were, but ashamed right down to their little booties. And it's really a very sad. It was a very. They presented a very sad situation of the kind of degeneration that a moral person can go through when all of a sudden they are ashamed of being who they are.
Exactly. Yeah, it shows if you hate yourself, you're going to become that kind of a hateful person. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I always thought that.
Yeah, so they're the best examples of just exactly the kind of degeneration any person can go into that you can imagine. Those of us who stood firm were something else again.
What happened to you as a result of this hearing? So what happened?
I was fully prepared to lose my job because the pictures were taken. We were on TV. There must be some footage of that somewhere. And I wish there were, because after all, in the middle of the interrogation, that's the whole story in itself. Let me finish what I was saying. As I was fully expecting to lose my job, and a couple of the people from the factory, including the accountant and a few other people, saw the program and saw most importantly the spread in the papers. But for some reason or other, the boss didn't. He never saw it, and so it never came up. And so again, the other hairs that I lost on this side were for nothing. I could have forgotten the whole thing. But what I was going to get back to, the other thing was this. I had decided that if I could, I was going to drag in an awful lot of, shall we say, red herrings into the interview. Because of my own particular background was kind of interesting. He started out by asking me where I was born. Well, I was born in England. And I was born in England of American parents. My father and mother were American citizens when I was born. And I said, as a matter of fact, my birth was registered at the State Department, at the War Department, when I was born. They said, well, why was that? And I said, well, it just so happens that I'm a 15th generation American. And so consequently, everybody, every generation of West Point has, for example, there's always been one of my ancestors somewhere along the line that was involved in that. And we were involved in the whole, and they said, well, who, for instance? And I said, well, all the patroons in New Amsterdam who become New York. Van Cortlandt, Van Rensselaer, Schuyler, Cuyler, Stuyvesant, Wendell. All of these people are my ancestors. So I'm getting all this in, and they're very interested, and they ask all the questions, and they want to know this, and they want to know that. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of all of these things, the interviewer, the interrogator, said, well, you know, Mr. Hay, this has been absolutely fascinating, and we could go on indefinitely, but there are one or two questions I have to ask you. And that's how we go there. And he said, are you a member of the Communist Party? And I said, no. And all of a sudden, this man was a big, fat man with a big gut. He's sitting in front of an oak table, a heavy oak sort of disc. And all of a sudden, as he asked that question, he realized he'd asked the wrong question. Because you can't ask the same question twice. That's puts me in double jeopardy. I don't have to answer the second question, you see. He said, "Oh, you remember the Communist Party?" And I said, "No." You know, because we were being all sort of a jolly fellow, well met in all this conversation up until that time. And so it was still going on being pleasant about this thing. And the moment that he asked the question, he realized, and the way I answered, he realized he'd asked the wrong question. And you could see that the veins in his neck kind of swelled, his whole thing, and his whole face got sort of turgid. And he stood straight up with a gut like this. That's all wrong. You know, as he stood straight up and the desk starts to teeter. And at the other end, it catches the edge of the stenotypist's desk, and all of a sudden the rolls go onto the floor and they all unroll, and then we've got a mound of paper that keeps unrolling all the time while all of this is happening, and everybody is doing exactly what you're doing. They're all beginning to roar with laughter, and so all of a sudden, during all this hubbub and with this thing all going on, the interrogator said to me, answering my question when I said, "I know," he said, "When did you quit? Out in the hall before you came in?" And I said, at that moment, "I'm not in the habit of confiding in stool pigeons and their buddies." And my lawyer said, "You could live the rest of your life without saying that. I don't know that I can get you out of this one. That might be contempt of Congress." So the head of the committee at this point said to me, "What was it you said again?" I said, "I don't have to repeat it. Get it out of the record." And this paper all going out. And when I said that, everybody roared again, because I'll have to find that again. And the sheriffs and the bailiffs are all in there, all looking, trying to find out this thing. It really was a real, a Max Sennett comedy going on. And we're on this going around, and everybody roaring with laughter. And the chairperson is pounding on the desk, trying to order, and it all but calmed down for a moment, and then somebody way in the corner goes, and that would stop the whole thing going again, and would roar all over it again. So finally the chairperson said, "Well, I suggest, as a matter of fact, that we may have gotten from the witness all of the relevant information that is to be obtained, and I suggest that he be excused." And my attorney said, "Oh, my prayers are answered. Go." And he said, and so I had to go around
The McCarthy hearings were frightening times in this country. We survived them, but only because of the strength of people like Harry Hay to stand up and say, "Enough. I am not going to sell out my principles. I'm not going to sell out my country." More with Harry Hay next week. Well, that brings us to an end of our show. I hope you found the show both informative and enjoyable. If you have any comments about the show, I'd really like to hear from you. 286-1764. Give it a call anytime, day or night. It's voice messaging. I want your message. 286-1764. Tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what you'd like to see on the show. And if you leave your name and phone number, I promise I'll get back to you. It may take a couple of weeks, but I will get back to you. So until next week, thank you for taking the time to join us here on Night Scene. I'm Lanny Swerdlow. Good night. Like the wonders of nature, atheism is rooted firmly in the real world. More than just a rejection of supernatural forces, whether they are called God, Allah, Jesus, Vishnu, or the great creator, atheism is just plain old-fashioned common sense. We don't claim to have all the answers, or even the answer, but atheism can help you find answers that are right for your life. Science, reason, compassion. We are United States Atheists. Join us every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. at 6514 Southeast Foster Road for lively discussions and stimulating friendship. Want to know more? Call Atheist, A-T-H-E-I-S-T. Atheism, a better way, a better life, a better world.